Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the Springfield Armory and National Historic Site, taking a look at some of the really cool rare guns in their reference collection. And among those, they have a Madsen model of 1945 submachine gun. And I should say, in Danish, the pronunciation is going to be something along the lines of Madsen. Here in the US, everyone pronounces the D, so we tend to call it Madsen. At any rate, during World War II, the Danish recoil rifle syndicate, DISA, aka Madsen, actually manufactured Finnish Suomi submachine guns under license. That was their primary combat submachine gun offering. And I actually have a video specifically on Danish manufacturer Suomis. I'll link to that in the description text below. But coming out of the war, they knew that they didn't want to be offering something under license, especially when they might not be able to maintain the license after the war. Finland was largely subservient to Russia in the immediate aftermath of World War II, and the Russians might not want this Finnish gun licensed out. At any rate, Madsen wanted to have its own gun available to sell. And so they developed in-house this guy, which is really a pretty unusual gun. It fits with the Madsen high quality, relatively complicated sort of aesthetic that they went with. If you've seen, for example, Madsen's proposed Cold War battle rifle, it would fit perfectly with these guys. At any rate, it is interesting in that it is a submachine gun that functions largely kind of like an automatic pistol, similar to the Polish PM63, where you have a big old slide that reciprocates here back and forth when it fires. Instead of a typical slide, you have basically a big automatic pistol slide. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this and let me show you how it actually works. This is really a pretty light, svelte gun. It weighs in at just over 7 pounds, about 3.15 kilos empty. It's going to weigh a good bit more than that loaded because this uses Suomi magazines. So specifically the 50-round quad stack Suomi magazines. Makes a lot of sense if you're Denmark and you're already making the Suomi and you need a submachine gun magazine for your own product. Well, high capacity, well-proven, reasonably well-proven, popular mag. These Suomi coffin mags really kind of got around. There was a folding stock version made as well as this wooden fixed stock version. This looks kind of weirdly long, but because the trigger's all the way back here, it actually has a kind of short length of pull. It almost feels a little too compact to me shouldering it, but that's what they designed out. And then you've got a horizontal front grip like so. Sights are a fixed big front post, and then two options for rear sight. You have a 100-meter rear notch, and you have a 200-meter rear notch, and you can flip up whichever one you want, or both, or I suppose neither, if you prefer. For controls, we have a magazine release here. That's just going to slide this locking block over. This uses the Suomi box magazines, does not use the drums. These receiver walls come down too far to fit a drum magazine. The safety is taken straight off of the M1 Garand, so that is safe. That is fire. There is no selector switch. It's full auto only. And the only marking on here is actually the serial number, which is 3005. Now, the operating system is really the interesting part here. You've got your serrations up front. That is cocked and ready to fire. Fires from an open bolt, and it's just going to cycle this back and forth firing until you let off the trigger. No semi-auto. And unlike the PM63, this doesn't cycle the slide back towards your face because, well, it does, but it's all covered by this rear shroud. So you don't have the weird feeling of this is about to hit me in the eyeball that you do with the PM63. Frankly, this looks really remarkably like a German VG-15. And honestly kind of functions like a German VG-15, except that it is in 9mm parabellum caliber, which means it's perfectly safe as a simple blowback gun like this. Now, for disassembly, I can show you part of it. Push this button down, we can pull the rear dust cover up and off, and this allows me to show you the firing mechanism, which is actually remarkably interesting. So So this is not striker fired. This is technically hammer fired, but it's a pretty unconventional system. The hammer is right here, and it's pivoting on a pin that runs through the bottom down there, and it pushes in the firing pin. You can see the round firing pin right there. When the bottom gets pulled back, the top goes in, and that fires it. Now, what causes it to pivot is this lever down here. So when I pull the trigger, it's going to do two things. It's going to drop these hooks at the back. That's going to release the slide to go forward. And then it's also going to lift this hook up. So you can see it pulls that hook up. And if I have it down in the non-firing position, you can kind of see that hook there. When it's downward, it doesn't interact with that hammer lever, which means that it can't fire. So this is a mechanism that prevents the gun from firing if the slide just bounces back. If you have it closed, chamber empty on a loaded magazine, the traditional potential hazard of an open bolt submachine gun is that you drop the gun on its butt, the slide bounces back enough to pick up a cartridge, slams forward, and fires it unintentionally. That can't happen on this because there's nothing to activate that hammer unless you're actually pulling the trigger like so. So when I do pull the trigger, you can see that hammer pivot right there at the end of travel. The last bit of deceleration, the slide here is going to hit the face of the barrel, and that hook is going to pull the hammer rearward and fire it, just like that. So it's a pretty clever system. It's unusual, it's unorthodox, but it seems like it would work pretty well, and it doesn't involve that many complex or expensive parts. Now, unfortunately, I can't take this apart for you any further because, I'll just be straight up honest, I can't figure out how to, and it should not be that complicated of a gun. Either this comes off the back or the barrel comes out the front. It looks really obvious, like there's knurling on the barrel. The barrel's supposed to rotate a partial turn, just like the Rock, or just like any number of, like, well, the Colt 1903, for example, or the Ruby pistols. In theory, there should be some position where you can hold the slide back, rotate the barrel, pull the barrel out, continue disassembly. The only thing there actually is this button, which is just a simple spring plunger. It comes up right there. There it is, right there. It comes up, and you can use it to hold the slide partway open, but there is nothing that it can interact with on the bottom that I can find. I am frankly mystified by how on earth to take this apart. It's got to be something simple and stupid. It is interesting to note that I took a look in one of the classic reference books, Submachine Guns of the World by Tom Nelson, and most of the guns in that book he has a disassembly section. If you're not familiar, Tom Nelson is an absolute giant in the small arms historical field. Most of his entries, almost all of his entries, have a little section on how to disassemble the guns. The Madsen 1945 section does not. It shows the gun disassembled this far with the rear cover off, and you can see it is serial number 3005. It's this exact gun, and I kind of suspect Tom Nelson couldn't figure out how to get this thing apart either, which means maybe there's something frozen up on this gun that ought to move and doesn't. At any rate, I tried a whole bunch of stuff. I know people are going to make suggestions in the comments, but if you have actually disassembled for real a Madsen 1945, please let me know in the comments how this is supposed to come apart. And the next time I am here at Springfield, I will bring it back out and I'll do a new video that shows it actually all coming apart so I can show you all the bits inside there. This turned out to be a relatively expensive gun to produce, a relatively complex gun to work with. By the end of World War II, most people are familiar with really cheap, simple, stamped, blowback submachine guns. Guns like the MP40, guns like the Sten, guns like the Grease gun. That's the sort of thing that will dominate the post-World War II submachine gun market, not this sort of thing. So the Danes are able to sell these in pretty darn small numbers to apparently Mexico and El Salvador and basically nobody else. The Danish military and police themselves don't pick this up. It's clearly not going to be a success for the company. And so they offer it only for a very limited time. And by the very next year, 1946, they have come out with a radically different submachine gun, one that will be much more widely recognized because it was much more successful. This is actually a 1950 pattern, but the first iteration of this is 1946. It is a super cheap clamshell, sort of all stamped blowback submachine gun. This is what will dominate the 1950s and beyond, not, sorry for Madsen, not their 1945 pattern. So these are extremely rare today. This is in fact the only one that I've ever actually seen here in the reference collection at Springfield Armory. Big thanks to them for giving me access to the collection to pull this out and to show it to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you find yourself in Springfield, Massachusetts, definitely take some time to stop by the Springfield Armory Museum. They have a fantastic exhibit of small arms of the world, and in particular American small arms development from the beginning of the nation all the way through till Springfield Armory was shut down in the 1960s, as well as some other interesting foreign military arms, but lots of good stuff here, definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching. Today's video is brought to you by the Forgotten Weapons merch shop, which you may not even know about because I do a really terrible job of actually promoting it, despite the fact that we have some really tremendously cool stuff there, whether it's gear for serious work or just fun memes and cool t-shirts. There is a really cool variety, and there's probably something in there that you would find useful or fun or interesting. So the Forgotten Weapons merch shop is run by Varusteleka. This is a gear company in Finland that I have worked with for many years now. They are, of course, the hosts of Finnish Brutality, and everything that we have here is made in Europe. Nothing they do is made in China. We have, let's see, starting with apparel. We have Ian Pat, Boonie, and Operator caps by popular demand. We have their merino wool hoodies with a nice, small but distinct Forgotten Weapons logo on them. I've been wearing these hoodies for many years now. They are absolutely fantastic. Merino wool, well fitted, exactly where you need pockets, plenty of gear capacity if you need to carry a bunch of stuff. And durable, comfortable, stylish, they're fantastic. We have a variety of t-shirts as well, everything from Elbonia to Penguin Brutality, inspired by our Yomp across the Falklands, where I was joined by my friends Les Winner of Polaris Logistics and Jari Laine, CEO of Varusteleka, who does not shy away from doing hard things in the outdoors. And then we have some other fun stuff like our North Korea Best Propaganda shirt. We have a variety of patches, some of them along similar lines. If you need your own Elbonia flag patch, Wowzers, of course. We have the Penguin Brutality patch. I just really like that heavily armed, angry Imperial Penguin there. Only dropped once for your French rifle collection to honor the fact that French rifles typically dropped once, and the guy who dropped them didn't get back up usually. La Ritorni, and a variety of other patches also available from the shop. As far as outdoor gear, we have a very nice stainless steel flask for taking your favorite adult beverage into the outdoors with you, as well as pukkos, the traditional Finnish utility knife. This is Varusteleka's Jakripukko. They have it in a short and long variety, 110 and 140 millimeters. Millimeters, 10 and 14 centimeters. So all sorts of stuff. There's a bunch of other things on the website as well that I didn't break out for the video. So check them out. The web store is at shop.forgottenweapons.com. And of course, you can find everything at varusteleka.com. Thanks for watching, guys.